The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everybody, and welcome to another Great Garment Graphics webinar. Happy Tuesday. Today's webinar, Winning Your Customers' T-Shirt Business, is sponsored by Transfer Express. My name is Andy Curtis. I am a team leader here at Transfer Express, and I will be your guide on the wonderful world of heat printing this afternoon. I look forward to discussing a bunch of interesting topics with all of you in regards to winning your customers' T-shirt business. As always, if you have any questions as we go along, please feel free to ask them. I will do my best to cover all of the topics in as much depth as we can, but it's a pretty heavy topic today, and we've only got 45 minutes, so I'm going to get as much information as we can. If I don't get to your question for some reason, then we will absolutely get back to you via email afterwards with any questions you might have that I don't manage to cover. So again, welcome to the webinar. So without any further ado, let's talk about today's agenda. Again, we have a bunch of interesting topics today. We're going to talk about getting started. All it takes is a heat press. Talk about finding customers, how to find them, where to find them, just some ideas. The road to success, like using marketing items like kits and then other marketing tools like bid kits, flyers, a couple different marketing tools. We're going to talk about how to win your customer's business and how to lure customers in and get that sale. We're going to talk about pricing for profit. Just an idea of how to price a transfer product, what's a standard, how you can go about doing it, and then we're going to talk about winning your bid with value and service, just a little additional value things and just the ways to get your customers locked in there. So again, as we go here, please feel free to ask any questions you may have. But before we get into the next slide, Allison, if you would please run the first poll. So the poll that we've got here is, where are you in the T-shirt business? And there's a couple different options there. I'll give everyone just a minute to go ahead and answer. Wow. We have a lot of people that are new to the business and trying to grow. It's great. Give everyone just another second here to... Okay, I think we've got just about everybody there. So the results that we've got from the poll, we've got 4% that have not yet started and they're gathering information. We've got 65% that say they're a new business and trying to grow, and we've got 31% who say you've been doing it for years and just want to brush up. That's great. That's a lot more than I actually expected, so that's fantastic. This should be educational for everybody then. For those of you who've been around for a while and who've done this for a long time, hopefully I'm going to cover a couple things that might be new to you as far as marketing materials and some ideas and such. Those of you who are a new business trying to grow, this should be pretty interesting for everybody. At the end of the webinar, I'm going to talk to you about how to get these slides too. If you want to review the webinar at your leisure afterwards, or some of the slides I go over have a lot of information on them. If you want a copy of them yourselves, we'll talk about at the end of the webinar how to get those. So without any further ado, though, probably the most important topic to start off with is, what is a transfer? That's the most important thing here. If you're going to get into the heat printing business and you're going to go out there and buy a heat press and you want to start doing heat printing, what is to transfer? And it's kind of a funny question, because 20 years ago you would have gotten a completely different answer than you would this day and age. Transfers have come quite a long way. Transfers are defined as a way to decorate blank garments using a screen printed method or a digital method, which we'll talk about in just a second. You folks, the customers, will then take the transfers and apply them with a professional heat press, and your result is a professionally decorated garment. It's very, very important to keep in mind that the word transfer, to some people, they still think of transfers in the 80s, the transfers that would come off shirts, that would wash off or peel off. Needless to say, things have changed quite a bit since then. So we're not talking about transfers that do that any longer. We're talking about quality products that are actually screen printed or actual digital transfers that don't come off garments. They stick on permanently. And to further that point, An example here at Transfer Express, just for sheer example's sake, there's actually 44 steps that go into making our transfers, professional quality transfers. So it's needless to say these aren't your parents' transfers from way back when. So to get into a little bit more detail, we've got screen printed transfers, we've got digital transfers. Starting with screen printed, which is the example here, the Uniontown baseball 2001 with the eagle head. A screen printed transfer is spot color. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's using a screen printed process to make a transfer. We're still burning screens, we're using plastisol ink just like a screen printer does, but we're printing directly onto a special paper as opposed to printing directly onto the garments. So it's still screen print the way you know it. And as far as screen printed transfers go, we have different kinds of screen printed transfers, different textures and different feels, different application types for different types of garments. And the examples here, just with Transfer Express, are examples. We've got goof-proof transfers, which we call them goof-proof for a reason. They're incredibly easy to apply, only takes 4 seconds. They're a little bit heavier in feel, so it's more of an athletic feel, like for a jersey, what have you. And you've got hot split transfers, which are a softer feel, longer application time. Now, anytime you place an order with a transfer company, you'll always get guidance as far as how to choose the correct type of transfer and where to go as far as what's best for you. But these are just examples of some types of screen printed transfers. You've also got digital transfers. Now, the example we're using here is this Wind River boutique with the flower there, floral boutique rather. Digital transfers are full color and photographic, to where the screen printed transfer you see above is merely spot color. You've got flat green and a flat yellow there, or gold rather. The digital transfers are actually full color. As you can see in the example here, you've got a full color flower with fading and shading and shadowing there. You've got the word floral in the background that fades from dark gray to white at the bottom. A digital transfer can have any amount of colors, any amount of detail as far as fading and shading goes. So the example of digital transfers would be a photo print, which is a type of transfer that goes on a white garment. A photo print's very economical. They're usually very cheap. It's good for onesie, twosie orders, for in memory of, or for a photograph of a family reunion when you don't have a lot of money to spend but you want to commemorate some kind of event somehow. Photo prints are great for that. And then we've got CAD prints. CAD prints is a product that the Group Stahl family of companies offers, Transfer Express and Stahl's ID Direct in Michigan. CAD prints are a digital transfer that's incredibly versatile. They go on all types of garments, including nylons, lycra, spandex. They're bright and vibrant, and there's different types of CAD prints for all different types of garments. So digital transfers are the emerging type of transfer that we've seen in the last couple of years here, getting a bigger and bigger foothold as time goes by. And digital transfers have come a long way as well. So the long and short of it, that is a transfer. Now, we could probably talk for another 20 minutes on this topic alone as far as what a transfer is, but that's the quick version. That's the quick answer to what a transfer is. So now moving on, if we've covered what a transfer is, we need to talk about how to apply those transfers, and that's where it's important to talk about a heat press. Now, transfers are all well and good, but if you don't have a heat press, you're not going to be able to press professional transfers. Now, I say this because people often mistake that they can use their home iron to press a professional transfer, and unfortunately you can't do that. As we're going to talk about here over the next 2 slides, heat presses provide pressure, time, and temperature. 3 very important things that you really can't accomplish with a home iron. The amount of heat, the amount of pressure, and perfect timing. So it's important that you actually have a professional heat press instead of using a home iron to try and press professional transfers. But so what we're going to talk about here is it all starts with a heat press. And when you're looking for that heat press, even if you're looking, for those of you who've been doing this for years, that 31% of you, if you're just looking to add another heat press to your lineup, maybe you have that much business you need a backup press, a second press, or a third press even. We're going to talk about the things to look for. And some of them might sound like common sense, but it's important to note some of these because you don't always think about it when you're actually shopping around. So Point number one here is you need to make sure you're looking for a heat press that has even heat across the platen. Okay, this is probably one of the most important things because the heat across the platen is what provides the even heat for the adhesive to activate. What you're looking for is something that doesn't have cold spots, something where the heating coils are spaced in some kind of even fashion, where you don't have to worry about the machine going cold off to the edges or to the sides. It's very important that you be able to use the entire heat press, not just have to worry about positioning your transfer in the middle of the press because that's where it's hottest. So make sure you're getting a press that's guaranteed to have even heat across the entire upper platen. Otherwise, people who have older presses or people who have presses that don't have even heat often find that if they move their transfer too far to the left side of their platen or too far to the right side of their platen, perhaps they have cold spots that cause the transfer to not actually apply correctly. And then when you go to peel your transfer, you've got chunks of ink left on the paper, and that's obviously detrimental to everybody. So make sure that when you're looking for a heat press, you're getting one that has even heat across the entire upper platen. Along the same vein as heat, point number two is having accurate heat. Now, again, I mentioned a second ago, the heat is what causes the adhesive in a transfer to activate. So without proper heat, that adhesive is not going to activate, and you're not going to get adhesion to your blank garment. So you need to make absolute certain the press that you're purchasing has accurate heat. Meaning if you set it to 365 degrees, you want to be sure that the machine actually is at 365 degrees. So just for example's sake, if your press is too cold, the heat is not accurate and it's too cold, the adhesive won't activate and it won't actually bind to the garment. If your heat is too high, perhaps the machine's running hotter than it says it is, then it's actually possible to overheat the adhesive and cause it to squeeze out from underneath the ink. So it's very important to make sure you've got a machine that's guaranteed to have that accurate heat. You don't want to have to play a guessing game with how hot your press actually is. Along the same lines as accurate heat, there's also the issue of even accurate pressure. Aside from the heat activating the adhesive, the next step is actually that even pressure, which causes that activated adhesive to then bind to the garment. So it's very important that your press have even pressure across the entire upper platen so the transfer itself gets even adhesion across the entire transfer. Okay, a great example of this, and the photograph at the top of the page here, it's kind of hard to see, but this is a photograph of a Hotronics line of presses that Group Stahl's ID Direct and Transfer Express that we offer. It's hard to see, but the pressure knob for this particular type of heat press that we're looking at the photograph, the pressure knob is located directly in the middle of the upper platen. Directly in the middle. That's what helps provide even pressure. So you want to make sure that you've got a machine that does offer that even pressure, and you've got a pressure knob located in a spot like that, like the middle of the upper platen, so you know when you tighten that pressure knob, it's behind the bars here that you can see just a little bit of it. When you tighten that pressure knob, you know you're getting even pressure across the entire upper platen. Okay. If you are operating a machine that does not have even pressure, what you might find sometimes is a transfer that half applies to one part of the garment but doesn't apply to the other half. Or perhaps the pressure was uneven across the entire transfer, and after peeling the paper, the transfer itself may flake off. So it's important to make sure you've got that even pressure. And to that effect, even aside from the press, when you are pressing a transfer, there are times when you have a garment that might have zippers, buttons, collars, plackets, those types of things. Make sure that your pressing surface is 100% flat. So if you've gotten a button or a zipper or a placket, you need to make sure you're avoiding that pitfall, that obstacle. And one way to do that, Stahl's ID Direct offers an accessory that's actually very useful called a Print Perfect pad. It's a pad that's the consistency of a mouse pad that you can place underneath the garment to raise your surface area, to raise your print area where you're putting the transfer above that zipper or button. If you don't go the direction of purchasing a Print Perfect pad, you can also use a mouse pad. It's also a very useful product. And the print perfect pads, I see somebody's asked about sizes they come in. You can hit Stahls ID Direct's website to get the sizes. I don't have that list of sizes off the top of my head, but they are in a very nice variety of sizes that can accommodate large full fronts. They can accommodate, I believe they've got a sleeve size as well, so there's a couple different sizes there to work with. Even pressure aside, there is point number 4 here, which is easy to position the garment. And it's kind of funny because you don't think about this necessarily when you're setting out to look at heat presses, whether you go online or go to a trade show to do it. It's not a topic you necessarily think of, but if you're doing an order, let's say, for some kind of graduating class of your local high school, and you've got 200 shirts to make for some seniors, you want to make sure that it's easy to take the garment off of your platen and put a blank garment onto your platen. Because if you've got 200 shirts to press and it's not easy to slide a shirt on and off, then it's going to get annoying real fast, especially if you have a high quantity of shirts to do. So you want to make sure that your press is easy to work with, that you can get your shirts on and off without burning yourself, without damaging the garments. And make sure that it's actually easy to slide them on and off, especially if you're going to thread the garment, meaning you open the garment up and dress the garment as if you were dressing another person. So you want to make sure that your press is easy to work with in that regard. And then point number 5, which is probably one of the most important points and the one that you don't necessarily think about, is how easy is it to open and close the press that you're looking at. Bear in mind, again, in the same example I just gave you, if you've got 200 seniors at a local high school to do shirts for, if you've got a press, whether it be old or just in general a press that takes a lot of muscle to open and close that heat press, it's going to give you pain in your arms and your back if you're doing that for a long period of time. So you want to make sure you've got a press that you don't have to jump on top of it to close it. You don't have to wrench your shoulders trying to open it. A great thing to look out for, the Hotronics line of presses that we offer, Stahls and Transfer Express. The Hotronics line, we actually offer a machine, for example, that has an auto-open feature. This is a nice feature to have because then you close the machine will then count backwards from the timer you set, and then once the timer goes off, the machine will actually open itself up using a magnet. So then it takes out half of the effort you have to do. You don't have to worry about ever opening the press. It opens itself. So that's a great thing to look out for, especially if you're one of the many people out there that has any kind of shoulder problems or back problems. It's a nice feature to have. Even if you don't go the direction of an auto-open machine, you want to make sure you're looking for a machine that does have an easy shock opening or a smooth opening, some kind of keyword like that you know you're getting a machine that you're not going to have to be Hercules to open and close it. Number 6, digital readouts. Now, this is another one that sounds almost like common sense, but it's funny to see how many people are still operating with the presses that have the old non-digital thermometers and the dials and the stuff you have to read that way. It's the 21st century, and most of the machines coming out these days have digital readouts. It's not so rare, it's commonplace. So you want to make sure that the machine you're looking at has a digital readout. The reason is if you're looking at some kind of dial to tell the temperature of your machine, it's going to be hard. It's never easy to get accurate heat that way. If you've got a digital readout, then you're digitally setting the number, the actual temperature you want the machine to be at, and then the machine tells you what temperature it's at. There's no guesswork. It tells you flat out it's 365 degrees. And the same can be said for the timers and the pressure settings. If you have a digital machine, all of those settings are much easier to set and to monitor and to keep an eye on when you have a digital readout. Okay. Number 7 here is a machine that fits your workspace. Bear in mind that not all machines are created equally. Some machines are much larger, some machines are smaller, some machines open upwards, some machines swing out. For example, if you all would look at the third machine over here, the one that I'm pointing at, this is the Hotronics Fusion. In the photograph, you can kind of see it's swung out just a little bit. what happens with this particular machine is you grab the black handle here and you actually swing it out and to the right of the machine. So now if you're looking to buy a Fusion, you need to make sure that you have the workspace for one. A Fusion takes up, or any kind of swinging machine technically, takes up a lot of space. So you need to make sure you've got the room for that. Now the Fusion is unique in that it also has a pull-out feature where you don't necessarily have to use the swing feature. You can actually use the black handle at the bottom of the machine here to pull out the lower platen. But point being, make sure when you're looking at a machine, think back to where you're putting it. Make sure that you've got the workspace. And actually, the point of your machine aside, I also want to point out that it's important that you have table space and counter space, because you're going to want to make sure you have room to lay out your garments and your lettering, and make sure you have room to work. So bear that in mind. And one more last point that we actually don't have on the slide here as far as your workspace goes. Make sure that after you purchase your machine and you've got your machine, you've got your workspace, make sure you have some kind of cart or table upon which to put your heat press. I'm a tall guy. I'm about 6'2", 6'3", and I need my heat press to sit at a certain height so I'm not bending over the machine constantly. Otherwise, it kills your back after about 50, 60 transfers. That's just me, but make sure you've got your workspace all laid out for your heat press. Not only how much room your heat press takes, but enough space to accommodate yourself what you might need to be doing with it. Point number 8 here is making sure your heat press can handle your workload. It's important because there are some machines that are designed for a certain amount of volume, and there's other machines that are designed for a high volume. For example, the second press over here, the one that I'm pointing at right now, this is the air swinger. The air swinger is made for a more high volume, somebody who's going to be pressing thousands and thousands of garments at a time. The air swinger is actually connected to an air compressor, and you don't actually have to lift and open the machine yourself. An air swinger, you actually press the buttons and the machine will hiss and close, and then when the timer counts down, it will actually open itself back up. So the air machine is designed for that more high volume. Okay? If you're looking for a high volume machine, there you go. If you're looking for a machine that might not be so high a volume, or perhaps you don't even know what volume to go with, you're not even sure what kind of volume you're going to be using, you want to make sure to go more that direction. For example, there, the machine at the far end here that I'm pointing at, this black machine, this clam style machine, this is the Max series of presses offered by Stalls and Transfer Express. A Max is good in that respect because not that it can't handle the high volume per se, but it's more economical for those of you who might not be sure what your workload is, or you might have a small workload. So bear in mind that the bells and whistles of a air swinger are nice, they're great, but if you're not going to have the workload, then it's not really necessary for you. Point number 9 here is the warranty. This is really important because if you're going to have a heat printing business, that machine is your bread and butter then. That heat press is going to be what brings in the cash. So you want to make sure you're protecting that investment with a great warranty. So make sure that you cover that when you're looking for your heat press, you're shopping around for it. The example that we've talked about in the slide here is the Hotronics line of presses. They've got the lifetime warranty on the heating element. You've got a 1-year limited warranty, parts and labor, corrosion resistant. The list of features goes on and on. If you are looking for a press that's going to be able to keep up with you, you want to make sure you've got a warranty that protects your electronics, your parts, and all the various different parts of the machine to make sure if something does break, you're covered. Because you don't want to have that big order for your brand new customer and suddenly your machine goes and you're backed into a corner. If you don't have a warranty, then you're in a terrible position you don't want to be in. So make sure you're covering your warranty, covering the warranty on a machine when you're shopping around. And the last point here on our 10 things to look for when you're buying a heat press, the last point is customer service. And it's kind of a funny point to make, but if you purchase a machine and you're learning to use the machine, you might not even be 100% comfortable with how to work the machine, you want to make sure you're going with somebody, going with a company that offers customer service on that machine. What if your thermostat goes and you're not sure what to do? You want to make sure you're going with a company where you can call them up and say, hey, my machine's timer or thermostat or something has blown. What do I do? You want to make sure you're going with a company that allows you to have that flexibility, that they can help you over the phone perhaps, or they'll send you a part, or they'll some kind of customer service as far as how to get the best results possible and how to take care of your machine. So make sure you're keeping an eye out for that. Those are some very, very useful tips. And again, I know we went through those 10 things very quickly. At the end, we're going to talk about how to get a copy of all of these slides, so you'll be able to go over these at your leisure. So, and on that note, before we move on to the next slide, Allison, if you would please run our next poll for us. Before we move on to the next topic, I just want to get an idea here. The next poll question is, how do you get new business? How do you guys go about at this point in time where your business is at now? How do you get new business? And we've got a couple different selections here. I'm going to give everyone just a second here to vote and see what we got. Wow, we have a lot of other there. It'd be interesting to know what all those of you who've selected other, what exactly your methods are. I see we got a couple for sales visits, a couple for website. Just another second here. All right, we're going to go ahead and close the poll there. All right, so the results, we've got 26% of you say sales visits, 10% say website, we've got a whopping 63% in other, and 0% for ads in local newspapers. Oh boy, perhaps we've seen a decline in local newspapers, huh? But it's interesting to see these results. It would be interesting to know what the 63% of you guys, what your other consists of. But this is actually the next topic we're going to talk about here is finding customers and how to go about getting customers. And it's funny to see 10% on the website, because that's a topic we're going to talk about here on this next slide is how to go about finding customers and how the website is your best friend. As you see, we've stated there at the top of the slide here, the web is your best friend. It's so easy these days to find customers on the internet and the World Wide Web, and to get out there and find people who need stuff. And just for example, we've listed a couple examples for you here. And this is in the League of Sports. For example, we've got visiting your city's recreation site. Now, I don't know about where all of you live, but just where we're located here in beautiful Mentor, Ohio, our city does have a recreation site, and you benefit from that in that you can go to your city's recreation site and see the different leagues they might have. And who knows, you might have football leagues or baseball leagues or indoor soccer leagues or whatever the city sponsors. And bear in mind that all of those leagues are going to need uniforms. All those leagues oftentimes, and again, we can't speak for everybody's city that everybody's located in, but these leagues will often give everybody a chance to put in bids on uniforms or whatever else they might have. And bear in mind, as we go here, actually we're going to talk in a second about more than just uniforms. I mean, keep in mind these leagues need other things like banners and water bottles and all sorts of stuff, but the city's recreation site is a great place to start. Another great place to start, and it's kind of funny because I actually was not 100% aware of this statistic. I knew it was out there, but travel leagues. For example, what we've done here is we're just looking in the greater Cleveland area. That's where we're located. Mentor, Ohio is outside of Cleveland. In the greater Cleveland area, we've got a local travel baseball league that's got over 100 teams, with coaches' names, contact phone numbers, and there's 2 other leagues in the greater Cleveland area that are just as large. So bear in mind that, again, if you're going to your area's travel league, if you find your travel league website for your local area, go to the online standings section. A lot of these sites, a lot of these leagues have a section for online standings. And it will oftentimes list all of the teams on the online standings, and from there it should be easy to find out the coach's name, contact phone number, because all of these teams, independently of one another, they're all run independently. They're all going to need uniforms, fan wear, T-shirts, jackets, bags, helmets, banners, card decals, everything, all that stuff. So you've got a chance there to not just outfit a team, but to go the extra step and totally satisfy these customers 100%. But again, travel league websites are great. And this is just an example for baseball in Greater Cleveland. You might live in a city that's more football-oriented, or a city that's got other different types of travel leagues. Soccer's a big deal too, mind you. So soccer's another one out there where they're going to need uniforms, and they're going to need bags. They're going to need all those different things. So another great direction to go with that. Other examples might be AAU and CYO and other different sports organizations. Another sports example that we don't have listed here would be the YMCA. YMCA has different leagues and different sports they sponsor and all sorts of stuff. And you can even go a step further in summer camps and sports clinics and all that different stuff. So the internet is your best friend in that regard. So that's travel leagues as an example. And another one that people often don't think about is school sports. On the internet, you can oftentimes find the information for school sports. Every school has a website. We're going to talk about schools more in just a minute, but every school's got a website, and every school has an athletic director who's a great person to contact. But remember that the athletic director is just an overall director. It's oftentimes the coach who handles orders for the team, sweatshirts and warm-up wear and that kind of stuff. So if you are going to approach a school, make sure to not only approach the athletic director, but inquire who the coach is for whatever particular team you're approaching, and make sure to approach that coach as well. Okay. So again, these are just some examples of where to find and there's, again, we could go on for another 20 minutes on this topic alone, but these are just some examples of on the World Wide Web where to find sports-related people to approach. And remember that these are all examples of organizations and leagues that oftentimes will let everybody bid. They'll let you put a bid in on doing their league or doing their shirts, what have you. So just to keep that in mind. Now, I want to talk to you all about something that I mentioned just a minute ago about not just uniforms. So let's move on to the next slide here. Here's an example. We've got the Plymouth Devils. Now, the Plymouth Devils are just one fictional baseball team, but what we're showing you here is examples of all the different things that this particular travel team could possibly need. Okay? And again, these are all products that, just for example, that we carry at Transfer Express as well as Stalls ID Direct. These are products that we carry. So not only can you get the T-shirt transfers, so you can achieve the look you see on the uniform here on this young man. We've got the uniform front as well as the picture here, Maloney 29. We've done the back. These are all the T-shirt transfers that we just discussed. But you can go a step further with helmet stickers, like we see down here in the bottom left corner. We've got banners, and banners can be pretty diverse. We can be talking about roster banners or even just spirit banners or home team banners, all sorts of different banners. We've got window clings. Think static clings, like your mom used to decorate your windows at Christmas time, that kind of stuff. Static clings are real great for teams to have for spirit gear, that type of stuff. If you're looking for something more permanent, there's window decals, and then there's the ever fun wall graphics. So one team could possibly need all these different things. So don't stop short. Don't just try to lock in a travel baseball team, for example. Don't just try to lock in their uniform sales. Go a step further. Tell them you can offer these different products. Make sure you lock in the sale for all of it, not just part of it. So as promised, I mentioned schools a second ago, and I figure we should go into just a tiny bit more detail about schools. And now, again, we can't speak for every school district or for every city out there, but in general, almost every school has a website. And those websites are going to list the different clubs and organizations, and sometimes it's going to list the advisors for those clubs and organizations. Computer club and the different activities at the school, Powder Puff football activity, and different Teen Institute, and all the different events and organizations that they might offer. And bear in mind that for those events and organizations, schools will oftentimes get shirts or other customized materials for these events and organizations. So this gives you another chance to approach the school and offer a homecoming or prom shirts. School plays is another one. We see a lot of business come through for school plays. So that's another great one. Walkathons, different school events like charity events like a walkathon. That's another good example. And actually, it's kind of funny. In our photograph here, you can kind of see an example of a walkathon shirt, and then also a banner. You can tie in those additional items like banners and window clings and stickers and that kind of stuff in those ways. So schools, find their website, find out who the advisors are, and approach them. Show them what you can offer, tell them what you can do, and it oftentimes gives you a great chance to lock in sales that way. Another good example would be to contact the local PTA or booster club for school fundraising. You never know what the fundraisers could include also, and for different fundraising events, for different fundraising activities, if they need shirts or hats even, or what you might have there. So an example that we're showing on this screen here is golf outing. So if your school's having a golf outing, for example, what we're going to do on this next screen is to continue with that theme, just to show you, okay, your school's having a golf outing. The Berwick Classic. Berwick High School is going to have a golf outing. Here's a variety of different things they might want for that golf outing. Don't just stop short with shirts, for example. Here, this nice golf shirt. Go further with the different transfers that we talked about at the very beginning, the digital, the screen print, all the different types of transfers that are out there. You can do umbrellas for the golf outing. You can do hats. You can do towels. You can do these nifty little golf ball and the golf ball holders. And then go a step further. Think of the non-apparel related items like banners or stickers, what have you. So again, all we're doing here is just giving you an idea of how far to go, what you can do. Don't just keep yourself set on just the transfers. Think about the grand scheme of what else they might need and all the different things you can offer them. So make sure to show them the full package, the full deal there. So keeping up with the theme of where to go and how to find and who to go to, there's also corporate business. Now, bear in mind that corporate businesses aren't just going to need apparel. They're going to need other stuff too. They're going to need promotional items. They're going to need other different types of items that you can accommodate using some of the non-apparel related stuff that we've talked about thus far. As well as there's not just shirts with the company's logo per se. There's also company picnics, company-sponsored sports teams. Perhaps going along the lines of what we talked about with the sports stuff a couple slides ago, perhaps you've got a local business who has sponsored some Little League baseball team. So you've got that company-sponsored sports team you could work with. And then there's the company-sponsored events, heart walks, golf outings like we've already talked about. So again, these are just some ideas. Local fire stations are another one, EMS and fire departments, construction, highway, that type of stuff. These are all people who wear shirts, who identify themselves, and who are going to need apparel to do so. So these are great ways to approach them. And bear in mind, again, in the example that we're showing you at the top left of the screen here, it doesn't have to be just apparel. You can use those non-apparel items, stickers and banners and window clings and bumper stickers even. All these corporate businesses want to advertise. If they're looking to order shirts, don't talk about just the shirts, throw in bumper stickers too. It's a great way to clinch the deal. So, and it's another non-apparel related item you could, as an example, we're talking about from Stalls ID Direct and Transfer Express. So. Now, so we've talked, and again, it's another topic we could go on and on about for a long time, but just for example, we've talked about a couple places that you could sell to. But now it's an issue of how do you sell to them? What exactly do you do? What do you need to sell to these travel baseball teams, to sell to these schools and these corporate businesses? You need to make sure that whomever you're going through offers some kind of help with your marketing and your sales. You want to make sure that you have the support of whatever particular company you're purchasing your transfers from. Make sure that they're behind you and they're going to help you be successful. So in the example that we've got here, and the picture off to the left-hand side, we've actually taken a picture here of the marketing kit that Transfer Express offers. Now, it's like a toolbox is the direction we're going with this. The marketing kit offers you the bits and pieces you need to help be successful, or any marketing kit for that matter. For example here, we've got a counter book, a spiral-bound counter book that's full color. It's a great display thing for your shop or to take to sales meetings with you. We've got behind it a glue-bound black and white book. The cover is full color, but the inside of the book is black and white. This is a great loaner book. After you have that sales meeting with the travel baseball team, leave the black and white book with them. These books have a volume, it's a volume of pre-made designs, pre-made clip arts, text, that kind of thing. Most transfer companies have this. So if you leave with them a copy of that, like the glue-bound black and white book, let the creativity speak for you. Let them go through all those designs and concepts and things, and let them generate the sale for you in that respect. The marketing kit also comes with a color selector, as you can see kind of at the bottom right-hand corner here. The color selector shows you all of the different colors, just for example, that we at Transfer Express offer. But again, it doesn't have our name on it necessarily, so somebody who purchases this marketing kit could very well take that color selector to the travel baseball team and show them, here's the colors we offer. Or the corporate business or the schools, show them actual printed samples of the colors that are offered. The marketing kit in question here also comes with a poster. The poster is great because it just goes in the window or the wall of your shop, and it's just another way of advertising what you're doing, what you're capable of, what you can do. And then probably most importantly, the marketing kit comes with, in this case, this marketing kit comes with 30 samples. Now, the samples range from all of the different products that are offered and can be pressed on that heat press, and then you're actually able to show your potential travel baseball team or corporate team or school. You're able to show them actual printed samples, not just a photograph, not just an example in a book, but you're able to show them an actual printed T-shirt and take it to them and show them, this is what I can do, this is what I'm capable of. So the marketing kit from whatever company you're choosing is absolutely fantastic in that regard because it gives you all of these beginner tools that gets your foot in the door. It's that little extra push that you need to convince those baseball teams, those schools, that you're the person to go with. So make sure that you're going with somebody that offers this type of material to you, that offers these types of tools to help you be successful. And along those same lines, not just a marketing kit. The marketing kit's great, and that's just one place to start with. That's a great start. But then as you continue to move on, what else are you capable of? What else can this company do for you? So, for example here, what we've shown you in this slide is we're showing you different sales flyers. Now, and this is just an example of what we do here at Transfer Express. We have these pre-designed sales flyers like you see on the left-hand side here. These sales flyers are downloadable from our website. We sometimes will put one of them in the box with shipments that we send out. You simply cut off the bottom half of this page, where you see the little scissors here with our logo, Transfer Express logo. You simply cut off the bottom half of this page, and what you've got is a pre-made sales flyer that you could give to your local high school. This is a back-to-school spirit wear example. Behind here you see a play ball custom baseball example. So again, if you're visiting a travel baseball team, this example here in the background would be perfect. You just cut off that bottom half of the, not bottom half, the bottom eighth of the paper there with the logo on it, and you can give this flyer to the baseball team just as an example, again, of what you're capable of. Different ideas for designs, different ideas for artwork and what have you. So again, it's just another way to help you be successful. You want to make sure the company you're working with helps you be successful. So the example on the right-hand side here is just another example of what you can do. And again, using the example of Transfer Express and what our website, the tools our website has, you can create designs and then make your own school spirit sale here. It's just an example of what we're showing you how to do for their teams or for student spirit or for what have you. It could be any number of different things, but it's very easy using these tools to make up a sample spirit flyer. And again, it's just another way you can clinch that sale with the school. If you go into a meeting with the football coach or the athletic advisor, the athletic director, and show them, hey, here's what I worked up. You haven't even given me the sale yet, but this is what I can do for you. So it's just another great example of where to go with that and how the company you're working with should be able to support you in that way. Another example, and we're again using Transfer Express here as an example, this is a bid kit. The bid kit is your way, and again this is the digital transfers we talked about earlier. At the very beginning of the slideshow here we talked about digital transfers, and specifically we mentioned CAD prints. So the bid kit is your way of ordering a sample of a CAD print of your customer's logo and not having to pay for a whole bunch of pieces to get a minimum order, what have you. This is a great way of locking in that order with this particular customer. Maybe you've put a bid in for this harbor security management. Maybe you've given them a bid for providing with them some uniforms. So then you can go a step further, send us the artwork for harbor security management, and you can get this bid kit made. The bid kit comes with specifically sized images that you can then cut apart and apply to a garment, just as an example for this particular customer. So again, another way that the company you're working with should support you to help be successful in that regard. This slide actually is great because this is a question that gets asked a lot, and this is something that people oftentimes need a little bit of help with because it's not completely clear. Let's face it, when you start into this business, there's no magic handbook that tells you every step of the way what to do. So the question we get asked is how much, and for how much does this cost? What do I do? How do I handle my cost? And now, again, every company is a little bit different. Every single one of our customers, if we took a poll, everybody would have a little bit different answer to this question. But just to give you all an example of one way you can go about calculating your customer's cost, what to charge your customer. The example that we've done here is we've got a T-shirt for $2. Okay, this T-shirt could be purchased from Broder Brothers, could be purchased from Bodick and Rhodes, any different T-shirt supplier. Okay, so just for example, we've got a $2 T-shirt. Then whatever transfers you ordered, whether they be screen print or they be CAD print, whatever, in this example we're saying that your transfers ended up costing you $1.66 a piece, which puts your total cost into this T-shirt, assuming it was just one print and one shirt, this puts your total cost at $3.66. So if your shirt costed you $3.66, you can simply take that and double it. Charge your customer $7.32. So all you've done is you've added up your T-shirt value, the value of the print, the transfer that you're putting onto the shirt, taking that total, and then doubling it. Okay? You can use the same formula for non-apparel items. So for example, if we're talking about static clings, if you're getting some small static clings for your travel baseball team just to advertise, maybe the fans or parents of the players, that kind of thing, window clings can often be very inexpensive if you order a decent quantity. So then what you do is you double the cost of the window cling, and your 50-cent window cling then you charge $1 per window cling for. You can even go higher. If you look at the value of some of those different products on the internet, you can actually, the charges for window clings or for custom stickers can actually go even higher in some cases, but this is just an easy formula. Now, I see that somebody has asked the question about what about your time to do the job. That's where I was talking about at the very beginning of this slide. Some people have a different way of looking at it and a different way of approaching it. You will find that some people choose to not just necessarily double the value of their T-shirt, they'll work in maybe a labor cost or a time cost. And you could very well do that if you were breaking down an itemized chart for your customer on how you reached this cost to this cost to that cost. You could put in a cost for your labor or your time that way. But to make things easier, to save on all the time, and that this formula of doubling your the value of what you've made is just the simplest way to go. Okay, so again, everyone's going to have a different way of looking at this, a different perspective, a different way of how they explain it to their customers, how you invoice it, and how you handle it. And we can't answer how to do it for everybody, but these are just rough ideas. This is just one idea of where you can start with and where to build on from there. So now, win the bid on value and service. So using, again, I'm just going to use Transfer Express as an example. Whatever company you work with, the values and the different things they provide you with, different features and different values, can be used to pass along to your customer. For example, at Transfer Express, we're known for our delivery time. We're very fast and efficient in that way, where we get transfers out very quickly. You can then take that short delivery time and turn it around as a value to your customer. A screen printer that you go to might have a longer turnaround time. The transfers from Transfer Express take between 1 and 3 days to produce. A screen printer is going to take a longer period of time to get out that type of order. So you can pass that quick delivery time on to your customer. You can get that travel baseball team's jerseys done in a better amount of time than some of the competition, perhaps. Another example is the customized flyers. That's just another additional service, another additional thing that Transfer Express offers that you can pass along to your customer, that you can pass along to them as another added value, just something else that adds value to what you do, because those flyers are giving your customer ideas. And as we've stated at the bottom of the slide here, ideas sell. If you plant that idea in their head, as simple as that customized flyer is, if you plant the idea in their head, they're going to do it, or they're at least going to have it in their head to do down the road. Another point to make about transfers in general: most transfer companies have price breaks. You might need 12 transfers, but the price break is at 15. So you find yourself ordering 15 pieces for this particular sports team. Inevitably, what will happen is, even though they ordered 12, somebody will join at the last minute, and suddenly you're getting a call from the coach 2 nights before saying, "Oh my gosh, Tim Smith just joined and I need another jersey." Well, if you've gone the route of transfers and you've ordered at the 15-piece price break, then you've got 3 extra pieces. You can easily save the day and say, "Oh, no problem. I can get another uniform here immediately, and I can get the transfer put on, and I can get it to you ASAP." So transfers allows you to really save the day for your customers. It's just another value you can pass along. It's easy to have those extra transfers, as opposed to contracting out screen printing and having to go to your screen printer and beg and plead to get additional pieces, one additional piece made. So this is just another value you can pass along to your customer. There we go. Now, a point that I just want to make to everybody as we're kind of starting to wrap up here. There is a special for attending. Please do keep an eye out on your email. There will be a link you can follow along to purchase a marketing kit at 30% off. And the marketing kit has the different bits and pieces that we talked about a couple slides ago. So make sure to keep an eye on your email, whatever email you provided us with, and that thank you email will have that link to get that 30% off marketing kit. So make sure to save that and check that out. All right, now as promised, I know we went through this information quickly, and this was a lot of information, and frankly, most of these topics we could have talked about for another 10-15 minutes alone. So I know that we crammed a lot of information into a small amount of time here. If you have questions, never ever hesitate to contact us. Those of you who have asked questions thus far that I have not gotten to, We will email you back with answers if I have not answered them. Otherwise, if you have questions we haven't covered here, you can always email us, info@transferexpress.com. We'd be more than happy to help you there. Please do check our blog also. Our marketing department really has a fantastic blog they put out on a monthly basis, all sorts of really interesting information. So make sure to check the blog also. Watch our other webinars, our other videos, and please do check the trade shows. Stop by and visit us at a trade show. All the guys and gals that hit the trade shows will be more than happy to answer any questions you have here. If you are interested in getting the slides to this webinar, I know, for example, the 10 things to look for a heat press we went through pretty quickly. And I personally, if I was looking for a heat press, I'd want to make sure I have those 10 things listed I could peruse at my leisure. You can hit our website, transferexpress.com, and you can get a copy, a PDF version, I believe, of all the webinar slides. So do make sure to check that out. So as we're ramping up here, I do want to thank everybody for attending, and I want to make sure to tell everybody the next Great Garment Graphics webinar is going to be on high visibility heat printing, fun and fashionable reflective designs, a trend in the industry that's come out a lot more lately. It's really cool to see where reflective designs have gone in terms of fashion. That's going to be April 26th from 2 to 3, and the sponsor there is Stalls ID Direct. The next Transfer Express Great Garment Graphics webinar is going to be on Fashion Frenzy Summer Edition, and I've seen some of what's being planned there. That's going to be a fun webinar. It's going to be May 19th at 2 o'clock. Always please make sure to hit www.greatgarmentgraphics.com to see what other webinars we offer, and any questions regarding webinars can be sent to info@greatgarmentgraphics.com. So all of these things being said, I don't know how much time we have left, Allison, but are there any questions we haven't covered that perhaps we could get to, or?
We have 20 seconds, so there were some questions, but we don't have time. I did answer most of them via email. There was a couple, or via the chat, that I just was unsure, didn't want to give answers to. So.
Not a problem then. Well, for all of you who we did not get to your questions, and I apologize, it's hard to keep up with those questions as the webinar goes by, so I tried to answer some of them. If we didn't get to your question, do not fret. We will absolutely email you your answer, and again, feel free to direct any other questions you did not get a chance to ask to info@transferexpress.com. And I again want to thank everybody for attending, and we will see you at the next Great Garment Graphics webinar.